Hello and welcome to NasCanucks, your auto racing podcast, live right here on the YouTubes with a Canadian spin. Hello to our viewer, Charles. Many more hopefully will join in. I'm just figuring, you know what? It's traffic. It's like Kentucky. The traffic's backed up for miles. Oh, yeah. See, we just doubled. We now have 2 people watching, just like that. Another person made it through the turnstile.
Exactly, yes.
So after a hiatus of, I don't know, I think it's been about a month since our last show.
Could have been.
A little bit. We said, well, there isn't a whole lot that happens between now and then, but you know what?
And
I'm going to say, Doug, for the first time in a long time, this feels like an off season in the 90s. Because there's testing to talk about every day.
Well, yes, yeah. But I figured we should just do a show because I've got nothing else to do. I'm just here in the basement. I got nothing else to do.
Hey, Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, we're down to 1 watching. Somebody tripped over their cable. What, Terry was here and he left? Because Charles still commented, so.
Probably, yeah.
And we are doing Q&A as well for those that are watching. And if you're watching on replay, feel free to type a question in the comment section. We'll answer it the following week. Never happened. I figure if I keep saying it, sooner or later, someone's going to ask a question.
Yeah. So, lots of things happening. Had the NASCAR banquets.
Yep.
Kyle
Truck
Larson
one was probably the best, from what I heard. There's a bit of a repeat performance from the podium.
Oh, yeah?
Someone really likes his Bud Lights.
Yeah, I didn't get to see much of them. Just I had some other stuff going on, but
that's literally all I knew about it. I don't even know anything about the other 2.
Most popular drivers. Chase Elliott got the Cup one, which kind of surprised Kyle didn't get it. But I don't know if you caught any of the Kevin Harvick.
Pretty much gets it every year, though.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught any of the Dale Earnhardt download that had Kevin Harvick on it at all.
I did catch some of it.
Harvick touched on his comments or his thoughts on the most popular driver, and he thinks it's all wrong. Because, and it was no offense to Dale Jr., but he got all of his, it's like the best driver isn't the most popular. Like, if you go to football, those, when New England,
Tom Brady is the most popular player or the most well-known player.
Yeah, and the most popular player that year is going to be one of the top teams.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Doesn't happen in NASCAR.
No. Actually, if you go back, the better part of 40 years, you can put on one hand the amount of most popular drivers out there. Because we had a few one-offs here and there, but for years, it was Bill Elliott.
Yep.
And it was Bill Elliott basically until Dale Jr. came along.
Yep.
And that's pretty much the last quarter century. But yet, you would think, like Bill Elliott, most popular driver for a decade or more. You don't see anybody wearing retro Bill Elliott shirts at tracks that we've been to.
No. So, yeah. And then one that I could see in the Xfinity Series didn't win the championship, but still I could see him being the most popular driver. Justin Allgaier.
I can see that. Sure.
Good guy. And then for the Truck Series, I know it was your vote for the Truck Series. Haley Deegan, the most popular driver in the Truck Series.
Oh, really? I'm sure there was some kind of social media campaign to, you know what? See, this, nothing against Haley Deegan, but hey, do you remember the year the Indian guy ran? No offense to Indians, but the Indian guy ran, and all of a sudden he got most popular driver, and he barely finished a race all season. Why? Because they ran a social media campaign in India because he wasn't an Indian American. He was like straight out of Mumbai or somewhere. And he had like 4 times the amount of votes of the next driver. And it's like, again, we didn't see a sea in the grandstands of people wearing his merch. I don't even think you could buy his merch. I don't think he had merch.
No.
This is what I'm saying. And to answer Charles' question, yep,
Well, no, not. I'm saying I'm in the basement. I'm always in the basement doing the show, but it's we've all got the COVID here, so it's I get this time I do get to roam the house, unlike 2020, where I was
Right.
locked down here in this windowless room for 2 weeks.
Days on end.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. So we had a bunch of news, a lot of stuff, some bigger stuff coming down this week. So
yes. Well, huge news breaking yesterday.
Yeah. Do we talk about that, or do we?
I'll talk about it.
Or no? Do we want to? Sorry. Do we want to lead off with that, or do we want to lead off? Do we want to go my couple truck things and then move up? Or
I don't know. I asked NASCAR a question before we went live. I don't think they're going to get back to me, but I would actually let's talk about the next gen car.
Sure.
For a few minutes. So extensive testing like we haven't seen since the 80s, where it was just Marcus Smith just opened up the gates at Charlotte and just said, if you own a car, bring her on down, try her out. And tons of cars showing up over a course of days, weeks, and they did roval testing, they did oval testing, they tried various horsepower packages, which, again, I'm not sure. This was my question in NASCAR, because after all this extensive testing, they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to run the high horsepower package at all but 3 tracks. And the 3 tracks, they're not going to running them at, so shocker, Daytona and Talladega, shocker, and Atlanta. Atlanta makes sense as well because they're repaving and reconfiguring the track. And Atlanta's already one of the fastest tracks as far as corner speed goes. And guess what they did? They
put a little more
banking. Up that banking a little more. They went, you know what, 26? Let's give her 28. See what happens. So that makes sense to me, because we don't want a debacle in safety, and because we know Goodyear's going to show up with a tire made out of granite anyways, because it's a brand new track. But they settled on the 670 horsepower package, which, how do they make 670 horse? Are you allowed up to 670? What happens if, are you allowed a little gray area, 672? I'm curious about that, because there's no way to limit horsepower exactly without having one builder build all the engines, and he dyno tests them all and is building them to a spec like a crate motor. Now, if we're at the point where we're building crate motors to go along with their kit cars, it's not good. That's why we need to get back down there one year. I have questions that need to be answered, and I really need to, go to a shop and just pull aside one of the guys and just tell them, what's going on, type thing.
Yep. So
it's the only way I'm going to find out.
It will be interesting, but we did have some Canadian content that was in one of the testing sessions at the dirt track. We seen just the car going around, and all of a sudden later on we heard that it was Stuart Friesen that was testing out the car.
Well, I announced that on our last show.
Was that on the last show?
Pretty much, or the show before that, I mentioned I found out he was doing the dirt test because Stuart wasn't available.
It's been so long.
I know. Yeah, it's one of the few news things I knew.
Yeah.
So that's how I knew. Yeah. That, and while editing videos, fortunately, Charlotte's had a live feed going on during test, so I'll just have that in the background, and never. I'm like, let's switch over to that tab, see what happened. Back row.
Yeah.
Hey, Guitar Man 45.
Yeah. And I've noticed this week too is a lot of people are talking about it. It's mostly because of BK doing it, but the shutting off of engines after crossing the start finish line. I'm doing like a mock run or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy.
Doing a plug check.
Yeah.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Everybody has done it since everybody started doing it.
Yeah. I don't know why it's just come to light now that people are now like, oh, it's happening because they haven't seen it in a while. I got no idea.
Because I swear half these people are the people that, hey, Doug, you want to come over and watch the race? And they talk the whole fucking race. Just, yeah. Did you know? Yeah, I'm watching it. I know. I pay attention to these events. Do you? Because you're just yakking. Hey, no, I don't want your chili. Go away.
except for Friday nights. That chili's good.
Well, that's different because that's in between races.
But anyway, yeah. But it's
Exactly, Charles. Exactly. And even then, they're limiting pit crews more. Although, honestly, I was thinking, what, a 4-man pit crew is more than enough now. And allow a 5th man over the wall to clean windshields if needed. But, because a guy can carry a tire and the air gun at the same time. Why? We have nothing but ex-college football players as pit crew members. It's not like Bob the Carb guy is changing tires or, hey, if you look closely at Richard Petty's pit crew, you'll see his son Kyle carrying the rear tires.
Yep.
Why? Because he's not running in the ARCA race. Or he ran the ARCA race earlier today, and now he's changing his dad's tires.
Mm-hmm.
The guys in the shop were the pit crew. That's what we're saying.
Yes, yeah. And now with the controversial one, Lug. And that's the other question I'm getting really tired of hearing.
Yeah.
Is what is the penalty going to be for if they have the loose lug? You're out of the race.
Yeah.
Essentially.
A very fast deceleration.
Yeah.
That's your penalty. Because, hey, Jack, have we ever been to Barm Cake? I don't know Barm Cake.
I've never had Barm Cake.
Well, you would go to it. You don't eat it, I don't think.
I think I would know I have an idea what a barn cake may be, but not a barm.
Oh.
But
it's food.
So, just one other quick thing. I know we talked a bit about it off here, and we started talking about the one lug nut, but here is one of the old lug nuts.
Yep. I'm not going to describe that lug nut.
We can't really talk about this lug nut.
No.
Because
I talk about various other lug nuts I see back here.
The owner of this lug nut is in a bit of trouble. He's not. His wife is.
Well, no, not the owner of the lug nut. The driver of that lug nut.
Well, so yeah, the driver of this that was using this lug nut.
Yeah.
His wife's in a bit of trouble.
And her boss didn't kill himself.
And her boss didn't kill himself. So that's all we'll talk about with this lug nut.
That's all we can say. That's all we can say. Yeah. Little did I know hanging out in that pit stall, Doug.
I think Ben's getting a subpoena.
This is why my other channel has not blown up. Deep State has been, they're like, he knows too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Helicopters.
Yep. So
not necessarily red ones this time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
Yeah. So
the cars are going to be running fast. They got one lug. You know what? About time. Because the way I see it, they've just made these cars much closer, especially with this whole limiting horsepower thing. They're Grand Am cars of 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Way to step into the 21st century, NASCAR.
Yeah.
Hey, finally got rid of those track bars from the 60s. Nice.
So I guess we can step in the other big news, like you said, broke yesterday.
Yes.
And
Mars
Corp. Look here. Just so happens, corner drift off a bit, but I have one of these right here.
Nice.
You will no longer see this.
Do I?
After 2023.
I have several cars with
as
sponsorships from.
Yes, you should.
Mars Corp. Various drivers, although with the same car number. I'm just looking around in case I had some off camera too, but it doesn't appear so. Not handy anyway. Right. So, Mars Corp, who've been in the sport, I believe, since 1990. No, earlier than 97. What am I thinking? 93?
Yeah. 91.
With Derek Cope. Derek Cope ran the first Skittles car.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking
right before the 36 Ernie Irvin, Ken
38.
Schrader.
Yeah.
And then they went with a 38 with Elliott Sadler after they left MB2 Motorsports. They went to Yates. From Yates, they went to Gibbs and have been with Kyle Busch. It seems like as long as Kyle Busch has been at Gibbs. I don't know. Like that. That's one of those deals. Like it's sort of like, even though it's funny because Kyle's in the car vaulting, Interstate Batteries, I still think Bobby Labonte. I don't think Kyle Busch.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bobby Labonte. I don't think Dale Jarrett. I think Bobby Labonte for whatever reason. Yep. And M&M's. I don't think Ken Schrader or Ernie Irvin. I think M&M's. I think Kyle Busch.
Yep. Even Sadler ran that car as well too.
Yeah, exactly.
The 38.
Yeah, and that's just And so what they did was they decided to go in another direction. As of now, we don't know what that is, but they we don't know exact numbers. But rumor is they were primary sponsor. They were down to 25 races a year on Kyle's car. Plus, I think that also involves some other stuff, not just Kyle's car, but including other stuff. Maybe small decals on teammates. Who knows?
Yeah,
we don't pay attention that much. But it was rumored to be worth about $20 million a year over 25 races, and so they said, "Hey, we're pulling out." What's up, Tom? Speaking of pulling out. Okay. So they wanted to give Gibbs a full year's heads up. We're leaving at the end of 2022. So because, as I said to Doug off air, if you're unable to find replacement money for that, whether it be a handful of sponsors or one main one, that team folds. They are not going to be competing. Without you're not going to run an unsponsored car.
If your hat is made of this, take a flying fadoo, because it is not because of Kyle Busch now. Because if it was, they would have gone now.
Years ago.
So
which Kyle Busch incident exactly pissed you off? I don't know. Dozens, sure.
Yeah.
They have no problem with Kyle. That's some big news. Other big news. I don't know.
This week is
the end of an era, Doug. No longer, because you get to answer. Where is Ty Dillon? Dillon has a ride.
Yes, he does. And that's the one thing we talked about, and I couldn't find anywhere. When I was doing my research for the show, I couldn't remember where it was.
I believe he's going to be running the 42.
The 42, yes.
For Trackhouse, not Fast Track.
No. Petty GMS Racing.
Oh, right. That's right. Oh, that's other news.
Yes,
GMS. But a significant portion of Richard Petty Motorsports, aka RPM, which is, I believe, Richard owns 40% of the team, and then the other group, which was formerly the 9 car and various iterations.
Yeah,
I think that was the Gillette / Evernham / all that changes through the years.
Yep.
Anyways, GMS, Doug's one of his favorite teams.
Yep.
Bought into that. Previously, they had run, the 77? Were they the 77?
No, that was Spire.
That was Spire.
They're coming up to Cup this year, I believe.
But I thought GMS ran a car last year.
I can't remember. I don't think so.
It was like an Anthony Alfredo or one of those deals.
No, Alfredo was front row.
Yeah. I said
Okay.
Not necessarily, but I don't know. But yeah, so we're going to have the 42 and the 43. Saw a preview. The 42, they got that font right. It looks just like Kyle's car when he was running matching with his dad. So,
Yep.
Smart move. I dig it. So,
so is that there? Other news this week: the defending Daytona 500 champion Michael McDowell will have a new crew chief this year.
As you were saying, you're like defending 500 champ. I'm like, who won that? I just think that was like a year ago.
Drew Blickensderfer got smart and realized that ship has sailed with their one win.
Right.
And he is moving on to bigger and better horizons. More wins, more chances at wins.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, oh, dang it. I had it and then it's gone. In non-NASCAR news, the old man himself. Hello, Sophie. Virginia.
She could have a tech issue.
Could be. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Jimmy Johnson, the old man himself, is decided he's going full-time IndyCar racing next year. Because we had heard the tease.
I heard it as this is going to be full-time, not full-time, part-time.
Right. Yes. He's going to run the entire schedule because prior to that we heard, well, I'll run some races up to Indy, and then that'll get me, because he was only running the road courses before, and we're like, I don't know. I can't think of next year's schedule off the top of my head, but for the last better part of a decade, Indy was the first oval of the season. So you were already going to be running the whole season up till Indy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy. But, what the hell? Like, kudos to Jimmy Johnson for saying, screw it. Let's run the whole season. His sponsorship will be happy. Especially, let's be honest, the amount of IndyCar races, it seemed like every other commercial break, the lead into commercials or the back from commercials was some Jimmy Johnson-based promotion. Jimmy's not in the race.
Yeah.
He did a lot of testing last year. Apparently, they still do a lot of testing in that series. Kudos to IndyCar for testing.
Yep. And so moving on from that Colleague Racing named their 2 cars they're going to be running. Justin Haley will be in the 31 full-time. Second car will be an all-star car, not numbered yet, with AJ Allmendinger, Daniel Hemrick, and your favorite, Noah Gragson in the car. For a handful of cup races, yes.
Really? Oh, why do I feel a Loy Allen situation coming to mind? Maybe because I watched a Loy Allen documentary the other day. Doug's like, why? Why not?
No.
I wanted to know more. There wasn't more to know, Doug. There really wasn't.
Then only a couple other, I don't want to say smaller things. Wheaties will be on Bubba Wallace's car at Auto Club Speedway. And then they're going to do a promotion with Michael Jordan and Bubba on the cover of the Wheaties box for the 100th anniversary of Wheaties. So there's that's coming up.
Some people are going to lose their stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough.
And speaking of losing some stuff, Rockingham Speedway using their state money to repave the track and to add lights.
And they sold off or tore down a bunch of grandstands recently, too. Only because I've been watching a guy who's been hanging out there at the track a lot. To know how much of a NASCAR nerd I am, I watched a 45-minute video of this dude hanging out with one of the former caretakers, like grounds crew guys. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Like things, it was kind of actually it was kind of like watching Mike, talk about the place. Because it had that, because the guy worked there for 30 plus years, like I forgot Penske owned that track for a period of time. That was a Penske track. I was like, that's what, I knew it was part of a group, but I couldn't remember. It wasn't one of the two necessarily.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. I'm not just been too much said about what Wilkesboro's doing with their money, but. Yeah,
I don't know.
A
YouTuber I'm going to reach out to. I'd like to get on. This guy that does these videos, Doug. He drove all the way out to Arkansas to Mark Martin's museum, and then and it was funny. Let me just throw. If you happen to be a NASCAR legend that enjoys our content, please reach out to us. We'd love to chat, because that's what happened with this guy. Mark Martin started watching his videos. And he really liked him, and he's like, "Holy crap!" Mark Martin just commented on one of my videos, type thing. And then they met, and then Mark took him all around, like showed him where his original shop was, and this and that. So it was really, really cool to see. And he knows a bunch of guys that are buying up old race cars, and they take them out to track days at Rockingham. They have open track days all the time and stuff. But
Speaking of that, really cool. Mike Harmon his penalty was upheld. So I believe his partner said if their penalty got upheld, he was leaving NASCAR because he couldn't afford it. So
yeah, well, heard that before.
Only other thing is you ready for this?
All right.
Worldwide Technology Speedway at Gateway.
Yeah, Gateway. They got a cup race.
Yes, to undergo $40 million in upgrades through 2025.
That's pretty impressive because that place was already looking pretty decent.
Yeah.
That sounds like, that's just we didn't get a chance to redo the bathrooms before we started doing like there's some, you can tell it's improvements on stuff. Like you won't necessarily see much. It'll be a better experience. It is a mouthful.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, this is what happens when I don't have a show for a month with you.
Yeah. So yes, that's all the kind of the cup stuff that I've had so far.
I'm trying to think. We haven't heard too much. There's a lot of speculation going on with RFK racing.
Yeah.
No rumors, but a lot of speculation. And like you had mentioned during our last show, a lot of BK racing alumni.
Yeah, they've all come in. They've gone to the Chrome numbers. Brad wants the Chrome numbers.
Yeah.
And with the sale for the Pittsburgh Penguins going through for the Fenway Group, but then thinking with the Fenway Group, because Michael Jordan's in there, LeBron may want to stay, right? Because LeBron James is part of the Fenway Group,
right?
So, who knows?
Oh, and I do believe Bob Keselowski passed away just in the last day or two.
Well, I know he wasn't doing well.
Yeah. The statement I saw, it looked like he may have or he's close to passing. So either way, Bob Keselowski, one of those guys from that generation of the Mark Martins, like a short tracker, did it his own way. He drove for some other guys at a handful of times, but a lot of times he's running his own equipment. Long time stalwart in the ARCA series. And let's be honest, even after he retired, when Brad was coming up and Brad's brother, Brian?
Yes.
Keselowski Racing had a presence in ARCA for a long time, much like Venturini. There was quite the rivalry there.
So then just to Jacko, I'm not sure where Barmcake is.
Yeah, where is that?
Where is that?
We would need more information. So
so that's kind of all the stuff that I've got for a cup.
Are you excited for this clash at the LA Coliseum? Because NASCAR asked us in social media the other day. Are you excited?
They started working on it this week.
Yeah.
You're not excited for the halftime concert at halftime? Gonna stop the race for 10 minutes? Have a little concert at halftime?
No. Not even a bit.
Yeah, okay. So, Xfinity news.
Yes. I'm just saying NASCAR got back to me.
A former driver, JC Stout, will start his own team purchasing some Toyotas from JGR.
Okay.
So he will have his own team starting up. Our Motorsports, Brett Moffitt is going to be back with them this year. Mm-hmm. They are adding Anthony Alfredo and Jeb Burton to their driver lineup.
That's a strong lineup.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, if you run a multi-car team and you know the names of the drivers, basically,
yep,
that's strong. Anthony Alfredo, again, ran for Front Row last year, which is not a powerhouse team. He got into some wrecks, but I don't think they were largely his fault.
I don't think so, no.
And it seems to me he had some good runs at because I remember his name get like top 10 runs, stuff like that. and then bad luck. Like whether I don't know if it was a road course situation or what, but and Jeb Burton, that's awesome to hear because he wasn't sure if he was going to be driving anymore after this year.
Yeah, because he was leaving college. So then with him leaving college and Haley moving up, Landon Castle will be fulfilling one of those seats at college racing.
Which, again, great to hear because Landon has become quite the driver.
Well, I always felt that he kind of lingered in the bottom of the Cup Series. That I think he would do better in the Xfinity, kind of like an AJ Allmendinger did.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So now you're going to have him
and he's run subpar equipment for so long. He's another Parker Kligerman. Like a journeyman driver that can make a living. You're not going to get rich, but you can make a living at driving cars. And if you want to go as far as end up 20 years from now being a David Starr, you can, because you have proved to that garage area you're not going to wreck equipment. David Starr, he's had some bad luck the last couple of years, but part of it is they're like, why don't you go faster? He's like, well, why does it feel like I'm in third gear when everyone else is in fourth?
Because you're only in second.
So.
Well, yeah. Other than that, Miguel Pluto will be back with Junior Motorsports for a few of the Road Series races, and Josh Williams leaving DGM Crosley for BJ McLeod Racing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're thinking, who is he? He's the guy that looks like that dude from. He's got the long hair. He's got the big mullet going. And he also made the surprise appearance on the Dale Jr. Download after him and Dale got into it. Was it Richmond? I think it was.
I think so.
Yeah, and then Dale just kind of all of a sudden, during the middle of a Dale Jr. Download, texts him and brings him into the show, just to talk about it. So
nice.
Yeah, he kind of basically told Junior, F you, I'm not taking your shit, and yeah. So.
Oh, did we talk about the? No, I don't think we have. The whole thing with Tony Stewart Racing and the drag cars and the manufacturer of the bodies.
Well, I've only got two more. I've only got two things for trucks, and then we can get into that. We can talk extensively with that. My only two things is Corey Heim to drive 15 races for KBM.
Cool.
And Hill Motorsports, Timmy Hill will be going to 2 teams for next year. So he's
for his brother too.
Yep.
You said the 2 brothers running the 2 teams.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You know what? I thought Timmy Hill was one of these, young guns, up and comer, right? And then all of a sudden I'm watching some highlights from like 10 years ago in Cup, and there's Timmy Hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? And I was like, you know what? You had a cup of coffee in Cup, and you're out there doing your own thing. Because how many times we've heard he and his brother crew chief for each other, sort of like the Hills, or not Hills, obviously the Hills, but there's a couple brothers that kind of, and they had a cup of coffee at higher series, and they move back down, and the family finds some money, and they just keep racing. And I'm like, that's awesome, because those are the guys like your Jimmy Means of the world that get out behind the wheel, and they'll start putting in some young guys, and they're the ones that fill, guess what? A 30-year field is these teams, which are still your independents that are racing like it's still 1985 in many ways.
Yeah. So do we get into that other news that no one's really talking about, that you just kind of talked about?
Yeah. You mean the possible return of Dodge to NASCAR?
The possible return of Dodge, yes.
Oh, sorry. The return of Dodge to NASCAR south of the border?
Yes.
Because Dodge never left in Canada.
Never left in Canada, no.
Nope. We also have our numbers offset too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, they were
so we do it the other way. We have them on the rear quarters, like dirt late models. So yeah. So Tony Stewart Racing bought an existing funny car, Top Fuel funny car team, I guess you would call it. 2 chassis. But the interesting thing was those were raced as Fords, because drag cars, a lot like NASCARs, it's just skin over a chassis. I'll answer you later. I'm in the middle of a story. Anyways, some people. But if you zoom in on the photo, because it's one of those like, why'd you like what we got? Because you can see everything, and you're like, hey, in the back, aren't those Dodge Avenger funny car bodies? What's going on, Tony? Because I assume Tony Stewart Racing, as in the sprint car side of things, have been running Fords the last number of years.
Yeah, when they moved to Ford in Cup, his dirt car stuff went to Fords.
Makes sense. So with this, because Dodge still has a presence in the NHRA, that with Tony Stewart being one of these multi-discipline car owners, it's easy to bring a brand in as far as testing or anything, submissions, but because Tony has the contacts within NASCAR. Not that Dodge doesn't necessarily, but Dodge might not, because you don't know how much turnover has happened at Dodge since the last time they were in NASCAR racing. So, possible return. I also heard, although I don't know, I've heard this rumor for literally 20 years. Honda.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's every time there's a new generation car comes out. Well, now's the time, which it is.
There's room.
It makes sense from a manufacturer standpoint.
Everything's all new. Everyone's starting new, the same.
Exactly. Meanwhile, no, the engines of the hoods are the same motors they ran last year. So, yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to think. Was there anything else?
Can't think of anything.
Nope.
No, it's been a pretty slow news show. Especially right now. We're getting over the Christmas break, so they're all kind of shutting down and kind of
Yeah, like you say, surprised there was as much testing as there was, because watching a lot of interviews and stuff on older racing, when there was a lot more testing, the guys were saying how we knew Winter Thunder, there was 2 tests. Before that, there was 2 tests for odds, 2 tests for even, so every team got to go to Daytona twice.
Yep.
And generally during one of those trips, either down or on the way back, you'd also hit Talladega, because why not? The car's on the hauler. As well as testing at Charlotte, Rockingham, North Wilkesboro, relatively close by tracks. Or even other tracks. They were saying, like, Concord Speedway used to be used a lot. And, I went out, the track out behind Charlotte was used. Stuff like that. It was crazy.
Yep.
Speaking of which, I saw a go-kart track was installed inside of another track recently. I don't know where that was. What track? Oh, Atlanta, I think.
Was it Atlanta? I don't know.
It might have been Atlanta. They put in a mini track. A little oval.
I drove by Kawartha the other week.
Yeah. How did it look? Snowy?
Yeah.
I still remember taking a buddy there, and it's got the horse tracker on the outside, and he says, how many laps do the horses do? 200. They do pit stops.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, other than that, Atlanta repaved. Did we get into the asphalt and stuff of Atlanta? I think we talked about that the last show, how it's porous.
Yeah.
It's actually, you're able to wick the water through the track, and then they've got like French drain under the track surface. Really cool design. I've been watching some of that too, because they always have the cameras, basically the press box area.
Yeah.
Although I will say, with all that testing at Charlotte, we get the spotters side, because you can hear the spotters talking quite often, because they're up in this above the grandstands, almost I guess level with that NOS section.
That's the other thing.
It's a great vantage point.
If you're watching it on your phone or your laptop or anything, it's gonna sound quieter than what it is when you're there. Don't be complaining about how the cars sound quieter, because you're just going through a camera mic. They got nothing big set up there. So don't be look, the cars sound so much quieter.
If you think they're quiet, no. If you can hear them rattling, then they're quiet. But if you can't hear the rattles, And they'll say, what rattles, Ben? Well, that goes back earlier when people were talking about Keselowski cutting the motor at the start-finish line. If you've been at any racetrack where a car does that, it sounds like you've got a wheelbarrow of nuts and bolts just rattling along, and you're going across, I don't know, a ladder or something. They sound like they're falling apart, is what I'm saying. I remember you giving me a couple sideways glances because, yeah, they do that. Yeah.
The people in the next subdivision can still hear them.
Oh yeah, that's because of crush panels.
Yeah,
and the function of a crush panel, which I knew, but again, watched the video the other day. Guy really broke it down well because he was going over an old car of Harry Gant's and showing how much of the car was still stock even in the 80s. Like, because they would just gut a hood, gut a trunk lid, and peering inside the wheel wells, you could obviously see a chassis, and you could tell it was an older chassis where they had mated the body to it. And the crush panel is literally straight on one side, curved on the other, and it fills that gap between the body shell and the chassis. And I went, that makes sense. And they call it crush panel because if you did get in a wreck, that part crushes in, you pound the body back out, you put another crush panel in. And that's why we have crush panel specialists, which has got to be one of the shittiest jobs in NASCAR. Nope. Cleaning the cars after the race. That sucks more. Especially if the driver was sick. Yeah. Someone's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's still drain holes in stock cars in the floor pan. Another cool thing, Harry Gant used a wooden gas pedal.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense. No heat transfer.
True.
I was like, that's brilliant. I saw that. I'm like, Harry, handsome Harry.
And if there was any, it would only be there for a couple minutes. Then it's gone.
Yep. Yeah, that was Monte Carlo Aero Coupe. Didn't realize Harry had one of them. Right at the end of the whole Burton Hell thing. So that was cool. It was really cool to see. So I don't know. Do we have anything else to talk about?
I've got nothing else.
No SRX news. Oh, saw a nice photo. Carl Edwards was helping tornado victims.
Okay, yep.
He was out helping people clean up and stuff. I guess he's got some heavy equipment or something. Maybe one of his side businesses, he owns equipment business.
Well,
so that's a good business to be in.
Running a farm.
Well, there you go.
You
have equipment on the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the guy was like one of those, he shows up, his yard is, his house is, all over his yard.
Yeah.
He starts cleaning up and he hears, hey, you need a hand? Holy crap, it's Carl Edwards.
Yeah.
He's like, yep, that's me.
But I wouldn't expect Carl to do anything else.
No. And it was one, what are you doing here? He's like, got a lot of free time. There we are. Apparently, Jack's been to Talladega. Cool. I have not. I have not been to Talladega.
No. So no. You got anything else?
My buddy Tim flew down there one year for Talladega.
I got some friends here that go to Talladega every year.
That's one of the last good infields, I think.
Yeah.
They're still pretty crazy down there from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And even our wilder years in Charlotte still sound pretty damn tame compared to Talladega.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Well, there we
Maybe next week. Probably.
All right. Are we back next week?
If you want to.
I'm available. Are you?
I'm here.
Well, 2 weeks in a row, folks.
I think I'm here.
Charles will be very happy, and so will Tom. So will Terry. Jack might be back. We don't know.
Jack might be back. Yes.
So we are. Well, apparently, according to my data here, we're down to one person watching, so they've already dipped out. Maybe they will be back next week.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Terry. So until next time, that's Doug. I'm Ben. This has been NasCanucks. Please subscribe. We haven't had a new sub in 90 days. Then again, we've only done about 3 or 4 shows in the last 90 days. So. No more to come. So until next time, you're watching NasCanucks, your auto racing podcast, live right here on the YouTubes with the Canadian Spin.
See you, Marcus.